Hey, Trail Kreitzer at goHUNT. Today I'm going to run through some lessons that I've learned over the years hunting on post-rut elk tips. So we're past the rut, unfortunately. Sad face. I love September. I hate to see it go, but we're into October and we're looking at some of those post-rut October, even November hunts. I myself, I have a post-rut November archery tag in Arizona for bull elk. So a lot of these things I'm thinking about on where I can find elk, particularly a big bull in a brand new unit that I've never spent any time in. So I've been thinking about some of the things over the years that I've learned. And I want to do a quick rundown on maybe some of my 5 tips, or my top 5 tips, if you will. So number 1, glass, then glass some more. Glassing is the name of the game when it comes to finding elk post-rut. Same with mule deer. You're gonna have to spend a significant amount of time behind your glass. I would say probably one of the biggest pieces of upgrade and equipment that I've made in the last 20 years is a good tripod head, and a way to mount your binoculars to your tripod. So tripod mounted binoculars are the ticket. I promise you, if you're glassing from a sitting position off your knees or from standing and you're thinking you're seeing everything, you are definitely not. You will see so much more game with a pair of tripod mounted binoculars. So glass, then glass some more. Spend some time on our new 3D maps, pick apart that landscape, find those peaks, those little areas and pockets where you can specifically get up to, you can get comfortable, and you can spend time behind your glass. Find those points, have good glass, the best glass you can buy. And you know, it's not uncommon to spend 5-6 hours a day, late season, glassing for either elk or mule deer. Number 2, rugged and remote. What I mean by that is bull elk typically after the rut, you know, they've expended a whole lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy to keep track of cows, to rut really hard, breed all those cows, defend your herd. So post-rut, when those cows have gone out of season and they're looking for a place to go, they're typically looking for a hidey hole. Typically those are rugged and remote. They're removed areas. A lot of the time they may move back towards where they spent some of their summer, so into that thick stuff where they can just put on weight. A lot of the time, like in Arizona when I've hunted late season elk tags, those bulls are moving down into some real nasty, steep, rugged pockets, avalanche chutes, close to cover. Any place that they can find cover, they can get themselves removed from other people, from other elk. You know, we've seen some studies where people have, you know, looked at bull elk movement post-rut. You know, they may only move 500 yards, you know, in a whole winter if there's nothing bugging them. They're gonna hole up tight. They're gonna spend their time feeding and recuperating post-rut. So find those rugged and remote pockets and start putting your glass to work. Number 3, food, water, cover, thermal cover. I'm gonna work backwards here. So cover, thermal cover. Post-rut, you get cold weather. You know, a lot of cases throughout the West, we're gonna start seeing freezing temperatures and cold weather. Those bulls are gonna look for thermal cover, and they're also gonna be adjacent to areas that they can feed. So places that are heavily timbered. They really like thick shrubby stuff. So if you're hunting Arizona, you know, that thick shrubby chaparral type country, they're gonna hole up in that stuff. Typically in rugged, rocky, remote chaparral. Utah, mountain mahogany. Those bulls love that mountain mahogany range late in the season. They'll hole right up in that. They'll spend their day feeding, you know, close to it, and then they've got thermal cover from the cold, the wind, late season. Water, they're probably not going to need as much water because it's colder temperatures and they can get some moisture from the snow once it snows. They're still going to want some water though typically, and a lot of the time they're not going to be too far from water. So you might have a canyon that's got a lot of water in the bottom, maybe a stream that's going to run through it. They might be holed up, tucked down in the bottom of a canyon where they've got cover, a little bit of water, and then food. So elk are generalists. They're not like a mule deer. You know, elk can eat dry grass, they can eat browse, so things like bitterbrush, sagebrush, mahogany, aspen, they can eat all that. So it's not particularly as important as it is to like a mule deer that's much more of a specialist. They're gonna eat browse, but they still gotta have food. So you're gonna wanna take that into consideration when you're thinking about where a bull elk might hole up and put on weight post-rut. Food, water, cover, especially thermal cover. Take that into consideration with rugged and remote. You can kind of combine those, use your 3D maps to really start to find and pick apart the landscape with these in consideration. 4, stay mobile. I mean, keep moving. If you're not seeing what you're looking for, move country. Put in your time behind your glass, but also cover that country and put your binoculars, your spotting scope to work. Use your access points that are available to you, whether that's ATV, truck. If you're backpack hunting, cover that country. I mean, if you're not seeing what you're looking for, keep moving, hit the next glassing point, stay mobile, and keep pushing, keep pushing. That's really like the difference that I've found in late season hunts. Guys that I know that have been tremendously successful on late season elk, those guys are relentless. They're just staying mobile, they're putting in their time, they're not giving up, and they're just keeping after it. Finally, so pressure, be prepared to go where others will not be or where they will not go. That's those deep, nasty pockets, that's those steep, rocky canyons. That's also maybe areas that are hard to access. So like chunks of land that are maybe landlocked or behind private lands. Maybe you're going to be able to access those from a long hike from the backside and be able to get into this country. A lot of those times those bulls are going to find those areas because they're secluded. So they're away from people, they're away from pressure, and they've got their own little pocket that they can hole up in. So think about that. Think about land ownership layers. Think about secluded pockets that are rugged. They've got food, water, cover, and be prepared to hike. Be prepared to backpack hunt if you want. With this recent kind of influx and invention of these floorless shelters with titanium lightweight backpackable stoves, there's really no reason that we can't now access some of that country third, fourth season, late season, and get into some of this country, live back there. I mean, if you've got a stove and a TP tarp type setup, you can get back into areas and spend time where you probably couldn't have, a number of years ago. So think about that. Think about how to avoid hunting pressure, because that's what those bulls are going to do as well. Those are probably my top 5 tips for you. Late season definitely has its challenges because it's cold. There's typically some hunting pressure. Those bulls aren't talking anymore, but it's absolutely some of my favorite time to get out into the elk woods and hunt. So check out those tips. If you have other questions or comments, I'd love to hear some of your favorite tips and tactics for late season bull elk. Drop those in the comments below. I'd love to see those. Man, it's hard to believe, but it's postseason elk time, and just good luck to you all.